What's up? My name is Alex Terranova. I am the host of the Dream Mason podcast. Welcome. We started this in 2017 because we wanted to highlight the journey of Dream Masons. There's a Dream Mason in all of us. A Dream Mason is someone who is awake to their dreams and driven by the passion, the purpose, and the desire to turn that dream into reality. We interview athletes, gold medalists, Super Bowl champions, artists, creatives, 8-9-figure entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, and everyone in between. And sometimes we even walk them through challenges that they're currently facing. So depending on whether you're catching this as a regular interview or a playing with problems segment, there is something for you, whether you're at the peak of your journey, at the low point of your journey. I look forward to having you join me on this journey. And I hope that this show helps you unleash your inner Dream Mason. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Playing with Problems. Every single time I get to record one of these episodes, I just want to acknowledge and be grateful to the guests that come on here. So you haven't met my guest yet, obviously, because we just started this, but I'm grateful to her, and I'm just so grateful to all the guests that come on this show because, as we always talk about, it requires bravery, it requires vulnerability, it requires a dedication to something bigger than whatever most of us will actually do. Most of us are more concerned with looking good or the optics of everything than actually achieving our goals, which stops so many of us. So many of us are stuck in being right or looking good or appearing a certain way or carrying on some narrative, usually from our ego, that we can't get out of our own way. We're not working with the therapists or the coaches or the personal development people or getting a mentor. And that keeps us stuck because we'd rather be kind of right than win. And my guests that come on this show and those of you that are listening, I really believe are committed to something different, are committed more to success in their life, joy, peace, happiness, fulfillment than the circumstances or the reasons or the things that their ego creates to keep them kind of safe and boxed in. My guest today is someone who I love it because she had a dream, or she had dreams when she was younger, and she's now playing out those dreams or living those dreams currently in her current career, which is fun because I don't know, I don't think most of us stuck to that. Most of us had dreams as a kid or had wonderings as a kid, and then we veered off and we're doing whatever we're doing now. But usually it's not connected to things that we really wanted or imagined as a kid. So I want to tell you a little about her story because I love this. So as a young girl, she would spend a lot of time alone. And during this time alone, she would walk around Emeryville, California, where there were lots of places like IKEA, outside malls, tall buildings, hotels. And as she would walk around, she found herself falling in love with real estate. And she would wonder as a child who owned these buildings. How did they buy them? And right, I love that visual. I picture a little child walking around a city, like staring up at these massive, buildings or complexes, wondering like, hey, whose are these and how did they get them? And now as an adult, and I should say adult, not just an adult, but a mother of 4, she's married. She decided that in 2020 that not only she didn't want to have this dream, but she wanted to make this dream a reality. So she moved from residential real estate into commercial real estate and has been moving towards this dream of acquiring commercial real estate. And she's in that process. And like I said, she's doing it as a wife, as a mother of 4. She homeschools her children. I mean, I think I do a lot, but I don't have 4 kids. So that in itself is pretty incredible. Welcome, Briana Maurice to Playing with Problems. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I almost got jumbled. I host a few podcasts, and I was about to say a different podcast when we were going in. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for, you shared with me, I didn't say this in the introduction, you shared with me before we hit record that the thing that you're most proud of in life and the thing that you feel like has you be a success is that you're raising great kids, that you feel like your kids are great people. Tell me like a little about, what like that and how that matters to you.
It means a lot to me because when you're raising children, it's of course 100% your responsibility. So it's your responsibility to raise these humans to be great people, right? They're going to make mistakes. They're going to scratch their knee, their elbow. They might get into some things, but um, nonetheless, if you raise a great human being, they'll be okay. They'll bounce back pretty well. So I'm just grateful that my kids are kind, they're respectful. They're just great. They're just great kids. They have great energy. And I reward them for showing gestures of kindness. So if they help me with something or if they help their sibling with something, I just, you know, I show a lot of appreciation for it because I want them to continue to be that way.
I love that. And then, so you're raising these and you're homeschooling them, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So how do you find time? Because I think this is the first thing I thought of, and I know there's plenty of mothers, fathers out there that say that their children are. It's not like they blame their kids, but their kids are the reason that they can't get in shape or write that book or start that business. How do you juggle, you know, raising kids in the way you want and homeschooling them and having a real estate career?
So I'm doing my best, and that's what I tell myself every day because it's not easy. It's not easy, not one bit. But I do my best every day. So I come up with these habits, or I have came up with habits that help me structure my day more properly. So following a schedule is one. And sometimes I don't go exactly by the schedule, but having a schedule does help me. Juggling being a mom and taking care of the house and doing real estate. So that has definitely helped me a lot. And then also just not giving myself an excuse because I used to do that a lot, especially my first year as an agent. I gave myself a lot of excuses as to why I could not get things done, and that was not okay. So I came out of that and I said, okay, well, let me do everything that I can and my efforts will begin to compound. And that's what I'm doing now, just setting out a time. I have a certain maybe 3 hours in the day where I get a lot of things done. I just stay focused on that and I get a lot of things done. And then I go back to being a mom and everything else. So I make it work because not reaching my full potential is it's no, it's not happening. It has
How,
to happen.
how did you break the pattern? So hang on a second. I hear myself echo. I'm gonna say that again. How did you break the pattern of the excuses pattern that you said you were in?
How I broke the pattern. I broke the pattern by the one of my let me say this. One of my worst fear, my biggest fear is not achieving my goals or becoming my version of success. So I said, if I don't do this, it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to give it to me. I have to get this done. So I stopped giving myself excuses and I do everything in my power to get things done every day because there's no other way. You have to get it done. So that's how I came out of that. If you don't do it, who's going to do it, Briana? That's what I tell myself.
So you mentioned in there your version of success. What is like the definition of success to you?
The definition of success for me is the freedom of choice. And what I mean by the freedom of choice is being able to choose where you want to live, the car you want to drive, the food you want to eat, things like that. It could be the smallest thing or it could be the biggest thing. The freedom of choice. I get to choose what I want to do today. I get to choose what I want to eat today. Anything I get to choose. That's success to me.
Nice. And then what about, do you consider yourself, it sounds like you consider yourself successful as a parent. Do you consider yourself successful in your marriage?
Absolutely. I have the best husband.
Yeah, say more. Tell us about
Yeah.
why. Like, what makes your relationship successful?
What makes my marriage successful is me and my husband have a great understanding. We understand each other, and it's like it's not just like a physical, it's more of a spiritual. And it's not perfect, but I wouldn't say fight, but every day in our marriage we work on just getting more and more spiritually connected. And of course, when you come into a relationship, like, you have your demons, your spouse has theirs. But just how we are with each other, we have helped each other grow and just become better people. And I know my husband loves me unconditionally. And we always say to each other, if one of us came up missing, we know the other will search till their last breath to find each other. So it's that kind of love. It's very strong.
The other year, I'm laughing because the other day I was lying on the couch and I was watching, like, I don't know, some action movie, right? Like, it's just some, I was like working on something, but it was like on in the background, I'm like kind of paying enough attention. And my fiance comes downstairs and she's like, oh, she like hates the like shooting and the right. She's like she feels like it's like too invasive, like the noise. And she sits down next to me and I'm like, it's almost over. Let me just finish because I want to, I know what's gonna happen, but I want to watch it play out. And and she kind of is watching for a minute and I quickly tell her the synopsis of the movie. And it's like some Gerard Butler movie where like his wife goes missing and he's got to go find her. Right. Like kind of stereotypical, right? Like action. And and I said to her, I was like, babe, I gotta watch this. Like, it's like me, I'm practicing, I'm studying, because if you go missing, I'm gonna know what to do. I'm gonna know, I'm watching him like, oh, I'm seeing the mistakes he's making, I'm seeing the things he's thinking. And it's like watching game film if you're an athlete. And she looks at me and she's like, part of her kind of liked it, like the idea, right? As I'm like saying I would go find her. And I was like, and wouldn't you want me to find you and not like the police, right? Wouldn't that be like way hotter if I showed up and found you? And at first she's like, oh yeah, this is great. And she's like thinking about it. And then she turns to me and she's like, wait, why am I going missing? um,
Yeah.
so I love that you said that. All right. So you're successful in marriage. Do you have a success tip for like couples that are struggling in their marriage? Obviously, there's a million reasons why people could be struggling, but do you have like a thing that you and your husband do that helps you guys be successful?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the things that we discuss is the 80-20 rule, right? So if your marriage is 80% good, but that 20% you guys might have some disagreements or don't have an understanding about certain things, just weigh it out. If you're 80% good, then work it out. 20%, but that 20% could be a deal breaker. So let me use another thing because everybody's situation is different. So what me and my husband discuss is, are they worth it? Right? Because every relationship comes with some sort of, nothing's perfect. So you have to ask yourself, is this person worth going through the emotions with and for? And if they're worth it, then work it out. So he's worth it for sure.
Do you two have anything that you do that helps you get through the hurdles? I mean, you got 4 kids. There's got to be a lot of challenges, right? Things that come up just because of life. Is there anything that you two have? Me and my partner have, like, every Monday we take a walk on the beach together in the morning and we like do a check-in. Is there anything that you all do, that helps it, like any habits or behaviors or patterns that you do that help your relationship?
Well, something that we do currently is, of course, when we put the kids to bed, that's our I would say maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours of to just sit there. And if we're watching a movie, it might be on, but we still might be, we're going to be talking. So we just talk about things. We definitely have our time every day. Before we go to bed, we have our time. And then every now and then we'll have a date night. Of course, he'll cook me dinner or I'll cook him dinner, and we have the candles and stuff like that. But yeah, so far that's just the small things that we do.
Nice. So let's talk about where you're finding challenge or where you're finding um, a problem.
Mhm.
What do you feel like is, the biggest challenge that you're currently facing?
The biggest challenge that I'm currently facing is having a great strategy, I feel. Just this past weekend, I was able to hear someone great speak, and he mentioned the difference between, or how to separate, I guess, vision from strategy. And for a long time, I thought my vision was the problem, my ultimate goal, my vision. But in reality, it was my strategies that just weren't working. I didn't have a good strategy. So that's what I'm struggling with, my strategy to get it right.
Okay. So what do you think is what do you think the problem with your strategy is?
I feel like for a long time, and I just got out of this, but for a long time I was taking bits of pieces of all these people in my field who are successful, and just taking bits and pieces from everyone and putting it into my own pot, trying to make my own recipe. And it just wouldn't work. It just wasn't working. So yeah, that's what I was doing wrong for a long time.
Do you feel like you have a really clear strategy?
At the moment, yes. Yes, I do. I feel like I have a clear strategy now, because for a long time, I was, oh, I'll do everything myself, or I can get this done myself, or no, I don't need anybody to do this and do that. And, I wanted to be the only one, right? The only one. Oh, I got here on my own. And I got out of that mentality real quick because I realized you can go so much further with a great team. So, that's currently where I am now.
Like building a team, putting that together.
Building a team, getting into a team, yeah, for sure. And the key word to all of this, right? This is for everybody listening. Mentorship.
Hmm.
Get you a great mentor that is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of headache, and a lot of mistakes. Mentorship is key to get to where you want to be.
So the strategy was the problem. You were lone wolfing it, and now you're building a team. What I asked you before is like, what's the current problem? So I can't tell if strategy is still the current problem, like it, or it
Mm,
was the current problem.
okay. So I would say it was the current problem.
It was the past problem. It was the
It
problem.
was the past problem,
Yeah.
but just recently, I feel like I've solved the problem. So this was just recent. It wasn't like 6 months ago. This was maybe about 3 weeks ago
Okay. So
where I feel like I solved the problem.
how's the executing of the strategy now going?
So far it's great. I feel like in my field of real estate, I'm getting more, I wouldn't say respect, but having a mentor and having that background, right? Because I haven't purchased my own commercial property yet. So just having that team that has that track record, it helps a lot when I talk with brokers, when I talk with other investors. I'm able to tell them who I'm working with, and then it kind of, that wall comes down, and then we're able to move forward. Whereas when I was by myself, it's just, hey, what have you done? "Oh, I'm a real estate agent." Well, can I trust you to close the deal? Are you able to close? What's your financing like? And all these real estate questions. But yeah, that was
So
what was.
it reminds me a lot, and a lot of the work I do with men, we'll talk about men often, and it's not just men, right? You just described it for yourself, but often with men, it's like this lone wolf thing where, right, they're out and and they don't realize that a wolf on its own is like getting scraps. It's not actually taking down the big animals. It's the herd that takes down, the pack of wolves that takes down, the big animal together. And that's what I really hear from you is like, hey, as an independent, yeah, maybe you can get some success, but when you came and kind of tied yourself to a pack, now it's like the doors get open, the respect gets given because you're with a group that garners respect. It's not just you, it's not just them, it's the whole thing together. So that's great. I love that. Like, for people listening, I think it's a really powerful lesson that often so many of us have to learn the hard way.
Mhm.
We go at it alone until something really smacks us in the face. What do you
Yeah.
So right now, because you haven't accomplished your goals, right? You're
Right.
still right. We're clear on that.
Right.
So if we look at like where you are versus where you want to be, what how do you identify, how would we look at that gap? Because that gap, there's still room for you to move, right?
Mhm.
What's do you see any hurdles or obstacles or challenges or things where maybe you're not moving as fast as you'd like to in that gap?
Yeah, so with me, I feel like mentorship isn't a magic pill, right?
Totally. Yeah.
You still have to put the work in. You still have to grow as an individual. There's still a lot of self-development for me and whoever is on their journey. Like you said, that gap, there's a lot of self-development in there. So with me, it's just, again, not keeping it out of my mind that my personal life is not an excuse not to accomplish my goals. It's something I struggle with every day because sometimes I feel like I don't have enough time. I have my kids, I'm a wife and all this. It takes up really most of my time. Um, and then just I feel like just my schedule alone and everything that I have to do, sometimes I feel like, man, I'm not able to go to those networking meetings, or I'm not able to go to events with some associates or go to dinner with some friends because, right now my husband's on his grind as well. He works and is studying for a certification and things like that. So, I feel like those are my struggles, just keeping my mind um just focused on just enjoying the process, not feeling like I'm too late or I've been left behind because everyone else is achieving their real estate goals, but I might feel like I'm not there yet, or so on and so forth. So that's something I struggle with every day. Just being okay with where I am in my process.
Yeah, and it's a really common what you just shared, I don't have enough time because of all the things that you have going on, or I can't be where I need to be because of all the things that you have going on, which are
Mhm.
real, right? Like, there's kids that need to be fed, there's kids that need to get help with their schoolwork, there's kids that need to be put to bed, right? Like, there's all these things. There's a home that needs to get tended to, there's a husband that needs to be supported. Um, what works right now about how you generate the time and what doesn't work?
Okay, let's see. What works right now about how I generate the time? So what's working for me, like I mentioned before, is the schedule. Just keeping my schedule and making sure that I take a minimum of 2 hours out of my day every day to focus strategically on what it is I need to get done. Whether that's making calls, sending emails, um, when I have a deal that I'm working on, just getting that done, just anything, just having that set time every day. It has to be done. And what wasn't working was when I didn't have a schedule, when I would just wake up and just float the day, then I wouldn't be motivated to do anything. I didn't have a strategy for today, so to speak. So that wasn't working. I need a schedule for my
Well,
kids and
well,
everything.
what's still like, where are there gaps still, right? Because you're talking about it like in the past, but currently, what still
Okay.
could be working better?
What still can be working better? I'm gonna say this. Um, Focusing on the 20% that's gonna get me 80% results. Because I feel like sometimes with me, I I do busy work. sometimes. So I feel like I need what right now I need to do more of focusing on the tasks that are actually going to bring me results. That's where I am
Okay.
currently.
Nice. So focusing on the tasks that will bring you results. How do you know the difference between, because I think this is a big thing people do, right? We can make the busy work seem real important. How do you identify the tasks that are actually important, like those really important 20% versus the
Mhm.
80% of busy work? How are you going to identify and like tackle that 20%?
Well, I do some measuring, of course, and I go by how I feel. Do I feel like I accomplished what I needed to do for today? How do I feel about that? And a lot of times, how I feel tells me, okay, Brianna, you did what you had to do today. Or no, you didn't really get things done because now the next day is coming around and then that same thing is still there when it could have got done. So, I mean, that's how I measure it so far. Just how I feel.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like accomplished and yet maybe have not got a lot done, or ever beat yourself up even though you did a lot?
Yes, sometimes.
That's
Sometimes. Um, sometimes I feel like I have it all figured out. Like today, oh, I know exactly what I have to get done. And then there's days where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. What is going on here? And I feel like it's a mind thing. So I'm working on just everyday self-development, like I mentioned, just, you know, developing my mind and not letting the little not beating myself up
yeah.
and saying, you did great today.
Well, what if I just for like the fun of it, what if we I challenged you to take like the feelings off the table? Now,
Okay.
I want to be real clear here. Feelings are really important. We're not like making them not important, right? Like our feelings are our body's way of like giving us guidance. But often, as you know, let's use pregnancy for example. There were a lot of like difficulties in pregnancy that probably didn't feel so good. And
Yeah.
yet, as we know, your kids are these amazing things that you love. And so if you had just been like, wait, we need to stop this pregnancy, we need to get rid of these babies because they don't feel good either in my belly or during the process, that would not have been a good, right? Your feelings in the moment wouldn't have been the best descriptor or the best like advice givers on where you go. And I might even say for most of us, when we're building a goal or a dream, the things that we need to do can be really uncomfortable. I'm sure you've been there, like making calls to people that you haven't talked to before, putting a deal together in the beginning to the first times, going to networking events, not always fun and enjoyable and like feels good. But sometimes we have to do those. We it's not that we have to. Sometimes we get to or we choose to do those things that don't feel good because we see on the other side there's a new opportunity by moving through the not feeling good, right? So I love to challenge people around if we put our feelings to the side, not permanently or like all for always, but for a moment and said, hey, if we didn't let our feelings decide how a day was going to go or what success looked like, but we chose from like our desire or our goal, from where we want to be, not from logic and reason, but from like, hey, this is the life, this is the woman I want to be, this is the life I want to create. This is what would have to get done today to move me closer to that. How do you think that would make a difference in like your daily, your daily, the process of you moving forward?
I think it will make a big difference if I go in it that way, not worried about everything else. I guess not having fear, would that kind of be what you were trying to say?
I mean, I don't know. I don't personally know that we can ever not have fear, right? Like that
Mhm.
I think we can not let fear control us.
Okay.
But I personally believe that fear, like if you didn't have fear, you just walk across the street without looking. You'd probably, right? You drive through red lights, right? Like it wouldn't.
Yeah.
So fear helps us live and not die. But where fear gets us in trouble is when it takes over, right? And it's like, don't go to that networking group. No one's gonna like you. Like, there's no death there, right? Or fear of like, I don't have enough time, right? Scarcity fears. Those fears are like the irrational, not realistic fears. Um, yeah, what I'm posing to you is the idea that you could say, if we knew, if you knew this is the woman I want to be 5 years from now, or 1 year from now, whatever, 3 months from now, it doesn't matter, a point in the future. This is where I want my business to be. And you chose that from like what you want, right? Not what other people think you should have, or right, but really what would like, man, I would love to see myself there. That would make me, right now the feelings are back, and that would make me feel real good and real proud of myself. And I know that's possible. What would I have to do today to move me a little bit closer to that goal? Like, what actions would I have to take? What would I have to get done?
So you're asking me, what
Yeah,
would
I
I have
mean,
to get done? Okay.
and I'm asking you, like you said, like that would support you to that could be helpful
Mhm.
instead of it just having be like, oh, it feels like I did a good job today, or it feels like I didn't do a good job today.
All right. Okay. I would say making those calls, making those connections as best I can. Even though I'm not able to, you know, go meet in person all the time. Um, just making those calls and not being down on myself because I can't meet this person in person, or
Mhm.
worried about how they would feel because I can't meet them in person right now. Um, so I would say setting those meetings and not worrying about how the other person would feel because we keep having to do Zooms for, maybe a few times before we meet in person.
Do you give yourself, or in this model, would it support you to like give yourself actual metrics that you're trying to hit, like numbers, just like any business, right? Usually we measure things in money, but would it serve you to say, hey, once a month or twice a month, I'm going to go to an in-person event, right? I'm going to figure out a way, just like you figured out a lot of things, right? I'm going to figure out a way to get to one or two events a month, or I'm going to figure out a way to make 100 phone calls a month, something that you, again, no feelings, it's like, hey, I did it or I didn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually something that I I would say started to implement this past week, is measuring how many phone calls that I made. So right now, I told myself I have to do 25 calls, at least 25 calls a week, 25 connecting calls or meetings a week. So I would say I'm just about there. I've been hitting like 16 or something like that. But my goal is definitely 25 connections a week and just keep going from there. So I
So
kind of set that goal.
so what's the difference? What happens with you when you get to 16? What prevents you from getting to 25?
Just something with my kids, like I have to maybe the conversation went too long, or, "Okay, now I have to go do this." It's kids are things are unexpected.
Sure. Yeah.
So, just gotta go be a mom really quick, and I tell myself that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think I love that, because you have more than one commitment, right? Like, you don't, it's not the one vision over the other. You want to be a great mom, you want to raise great kids, and you have a real estate dream that you want to create.
Yeah.
What So here's a place that you could look, is like, hey, what would be a win-win? What if I could be the mom that I want to be, and I could hit my metrics in my business? Like,
Mhm.
what if it wasn't an either or? Oh, I either got to choose mom or business, and then something loses, right?
Yeah.
What if I took put on the hat of like, oh no, it's a win-win. I'm gonna get both.
Yeah.
What's possible if you were to view a day from like, what would I need to do to have both happen?
Honestly, Alex, I don't know.
Okay. Who would you need to, like, what are some qualities about you that you already know that you are, but if you could like always turn those on, that would support you to maybe create a win-win?
Um, I would say, hmm, sorry for the pause. Hopefully we can cut that out.
Oh, you're okay.
I'm just thinking. I'm sorry.
No, you're getting it. What's the emotion? What's going
Um,
on?
I'm so sorry.
No, there's nothing to be sorry about. This is real. You're totally, what's the emotion though? What just came up for you?
Um, just wanting to be able to win in both aspects
Yeah.
is all. Because I want both.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is difficult because I feel like I have to choose.
Hmm.
Um, so that's all. And then sometimes I wish I would have did things the opposite way,
Mm.
you know, waited to have children before, you know, but that's all. It's just a challenge because sometimes I feel like if I focus more on getting things done for the day, then maybe I haven't tended to my children as much as I should
Yeah.
when it comes to, their homeschooling and just things like that, And then sometimes where I feel like I'm just being the best mom, which I am every day. But
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like I'm pushing my goals to the side, which I don't want to do. So that's a challenge for me.
Yeah.
And it's very a sensitive topic for me.
Yeah. Thanks for I really don't need, like, I don't, you have nothing to apologize for. Thanks for sharing like your heart and your feelings, right? What I really get from your tears and your emotion is how much you care, right? If you didn't care, that feeling wouldn't have come up. So thanks for allowing it to come up. Thanks for sharing it. And I'm really present to like really getting to see you, like really getting to see like, hey, this is a woman who's really, really wants to be a good mom, but also really wants let me say this different. We forget that parents have their own lives. But if
Mhm.
we think about our parents, right? Like your parents, I don't know what relationship you have with them. I think about this a lot with my parents. It's like they're just there to serve me. Like they had me and now they're there to serve me at whenever I want, which is like such a ludicrous idea, right? They're two human beings that get to live their own life. I am one part of their life as their child, right? I'm not their whole life. And I think that as a parent like you who's really dedicated and really cares, like not only are your kids a part of your life, they're a huge part of your life because you care so much. And there's still that part of you that existed for years before you ever had kids, that had goals and
Yeah.
had dreams. And it's like those two, I imagine it is, how we all have those like mythology, like the devil and the angel on your shoulders. It's like there's the mom you and the younger you that had their dreams, and maybe sometimes it's like they're fighting each other.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's my challenge, Alex.
yeah. But thanks for letting us
So
see that. Um, so hmm, the the place maybe that we can play with or look at right here is, this is funny. It kind of came up. It's actually interesting. I did another one of these podcasts and it came up with one of the other people um, around their commitment to their family also. And we looked at like, hey, if they were completely unreasonable, not unreasonable in their commitment to their children, they're unreasonable. They'll do anything for their children. but they were unreasonable with their like where they wouldn't stop. What would they do different? And like said, this person wanted to, I think they wanted to write a book. I don't remember exactly, but they were like, man, I would start waking up at like 5 a.m. or something, right? Something that feels unreasonable. And I would wake up and I would go to my computer and I would write every day for an hour before my kids wake up. Because then I don't have to take time from them, right? That's my time for me and my goals. If you were going to be unreasonable in the pursuit of your goals, what might you do that you currently like have a reason or an excuse not to do?
I would say, before my husband leaves for work, I would go out. So this is anywhere between maybe 9 to noon before he leaves. I would take that time, and that would be my time to go out and connect, or go out and have a meeting, or just whatever. But besides, being an agent, I'm saying, as far as on my investment journey,
Yeah.
I would go out and pound the pavement and meet with people as much as I can before that 3 hours is up.
Yeah. And look, I love it. Like just you saying that, like your energy just changed. You lit up,
Yeah.
right? Like it seems like you just saw like a new like possibility in that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That's what I would do. Just just having that time to just be Briana.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Hmm.
Just that time
Yeah.
to go for it. And having children is an excuse, because you see a lot of women who, they're single moms at that, and they grow businesses like 6, 7 figures. So I know it's possible. I'm not saying what I can't do, because it's going to get done. And sometimes I don't feel like I'm moving at the pace that I want to, is all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I totally feel I feel you and I resonate that for myself. I mean, I could tell you about all the clients I have that tell me about how they don't move at the pace they want, but I know for myself too, right? Like I'm not writing books fast enough, I'm not making money fast enough. I'm not opening up fast enough with my fiance, right? Like there's always it's like I could just always be doing better. Um and I know I never win that game, right? Like that's always a losing. It's just like me
Yeah.
whipping myself. I always lose that game.
Right.
Um, but I want to come back to, it brought you to tears again, like you seeing a possibility in just 9 to 12, that time in the middle of the day before your husband goes to work, and like creating
Hmm.
some partnership with him, which it sounds like he would be down for because of the relationship you have, to create some time where you get to go. What I loved about it too was it wasn't about you just like going to make money. It was actually about you going to get to be you separate from you as a mom. It was like it's almost like like Superman and Clark Kent. It's like at home with the kids, you're Superman. And like, but you got to go be Clark Kent sometimes, right? Like you got to go
Yeah.
do the other personality. That's another part of you. You can't just be the one all the time. Um, and that part of you, that Brianna part of you, that's not a mom, is like caged up right now and like needs to have some freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I actually spoke with my husband about this, I think maybe a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks ago, where I said I just feel a little suffocated, that I'm not able to just be Brianna,
Yeah.
you know. And I would say it's been like that for a while, because I had my first child at 16. So
Wow.
I've been a mom since I was a kid myself.
Mm,
So once that happened, it's just focus on the children now,
yeah.
and just going. Um, so yeah, just being able to just have that time and just be Brianna, like focus on me and what I want. Yeah.
Can I give you a practice?
Yeah,
Something to
sure.
practice? I love Thanks for telling me. I hadn't thought of this till you just told me that you became a mom at 16. So there's like a little Brianna in there that like missed out on, right, being like getting her full teenage experience, getting her full like childhood, right? Like just because of life, right? And I'm sure it wasn't just if you had a child at 16, right? Like this you didn't just have sex and then have a baby like the next day, right? There's a process. So like Brianna's
Yeah.
childhood ended before that at some point. So that little girl's still in there. We always therapists talk about like inner child work, right? Like, so my practice for you is once a week if you can create it. I would say once a week. If you can do more, great. Don't beat yourself up if you don't. This isn't like another reason to like not be, you didn't do it enough. But my challenge for you is to once a week find an hour at least, maybe more, where you get to go do something for like the little girl, for like that little girl who missed out, who didn't get to be the child, didn't get to have that full experience, and go do something that
Mhm.
feels good for that part of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I'll have to think of some things. I don't know exactly what I would do, but yeah. Yeah, some time. That
Sure.
would be great. Hmm.
Yeah, and look, this is probably going to be silly. It's look, it probably won't involve your kids because when you're with your kids, right, you got to be a mom, you got to be in charge, right? Like you
Yeah.
probably have to separate. But when I think about my like little boy, Alex, it's like I try to be like really silly and playful. I try to do things that like I would never do as an adult. So, it might be like, for me, it could be like going like to laser tag or to like an arcade or something that like as an adult, I don't really want to do that. But could I go like let that little boy have that? Could it like be a sporting event? Could I go watch a game and remember what it felt like to be like a little boy watching my heroes, right? Before I was like grown up and things got distorted. Um, I know women who have done things like they buy onesies and they have like girlfriends over and they have like a teenage sleepover, but with it's like their kids go with the dad somewhere else, right? And they have like almost like teenage sleepover, like to that you don't do that as a grown woman. You don't have your girlfriends come over and like have like a child like sleepover. So they seem silly, right? When we say them out loud in different ways, but there's that part of us that is still that little girl or that little boy.
So I don't, I mean, I'm open to it, but I feel like with me, like even though I had a child at my first child at 16, I don't really I don't know. I could be wrong because again, I'm not
Right.
like a professional. I'm not a therapist or anything,
Yeah,
but I
neither am
don't
I.
really have I, I don't really have any like, things I wish I could have did as a kid type of thing. Like I don't see myself like taking that time out to go do things that I wish I did as a kid.
Okay.
I just feel like the time I take would would be for the 30-year-old Brianna today.
Okay.
That's the time I would take. Like a grown woman time,
Okay.
have that time. So that would be more of my alley. I don't think yeah, just the little
Okay.
kid stuff. I'm kind of past that.
All right. Well, I trust you. I trust you to know you. So thanks for saying so. Thanks for hearing it out too and taking a look for yourself. Like I
Yeah.
appreciate that because right, I don't know, right? I know that this is an idea for some people and for some people it really feels like it works. And thanks for knowing yourself that like, hey, it's not the little inner child, but I really need to go take some grown up me time.
Yeah, because when I'm with my kids, I feel like that's kind of me. Like we
Nice.
go do things. We go to the trampoline park. I'm on the trampoline. My husband sits to the side. I'm on the trampoline with him
You're
and we're
having fun.
playing.
Yeah.
And I do those things with my kids, I feel.
Okay.
I'm the fun parent. So we do all that fun stuff. And that's kind of like I would say that kind of time you were describing. But
Okay.
time when I'm, yeah.
No, beautiful. Thanks.
So,
So you actually do get like that childlike time. It's just done as a mom, and
mhm,
the you personal time like needs to be for you as an adult.
yeah.
So what's your plan? What are you going to leave here, and what are you going to go take on from this conversation?
I'm going to have that. What I'm going to take from here is that the unreasonable aspect, being unreasonable and taking those action steps, that time to, get things done. And then still pushing to reach those calls, right? Reach my what is it? Goals, or
Yeah.
just reach that every day. And yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Continue to keep pushing.
Hmm. What do you think you like got from this? Like, what did you learn from this conversation?
I learned I learned that there's I learned to not beat myself up,
Mm,
like that voice in my head, that feeling, as you say, like, oh, I feel like I haven't gotten anything done today. I learned to remove that and actually have something that measures, okay, what did you get done today? What got done today? And if that got done, okay, then it's a good, you should feel good about it. Don't beat yourself up. That's what I got from that,
mm.
from this today. Stop beating myself up.
You know what I just heard, which is great, was the both and in there. So it's like, hey, I could get things done, and I can also not beat myself up, right? Like I don't have
Hmm.
to. That's kind of how I think it was like, I'm gonna do this thing, and if I don't do it, I didn't do it. If I did it, great. But I'm not gonna whip myself either way. I might try to do it differently or better the next day. But like
Yeah.
whipping myself doesn't, you know, often I don't know how you feel as a parent. I think back to when I was like a kid, and sometimes you did something wrong and you knew you did something wrong. You didn't need to
Yeah.
be yelled at. You didn't need to be hit, right? Like sometimes and then your parent punishing you just like exacerbates it. It's kind of like makes you mad at them
Yeah.
instead of like like having a conversation. I think about that with myself sometimes is I'll be like, man, I know I could have done better. I know I could have done different or whatever. I don't need to like punish myself. That's just going to make it worse. I could just go, all right, what am I going to do different next time?
Yeah, exactly. And I do that even just with my own, like working out every day. So I push myself to work out every day. But even after I did the workout, I should say I should have did one more set. Or if I don't feel like doing 5 sets and I did 4, I'll say, you know what? Don't beat myself up about it. Just do 5 tomorrow. So I do that often. Like, don't beat yourself up. Just like with the calls. Okay, I was supposed to make 25. I got to 16. We'll try again.
Yeah.
We'll try again next week. So, mhm.
How are you going to get this 9 a.m. to noon time freed up so you can go practice being yourself? How are you going to get your husband right? Like it's almost like he's on your team, right? How do you go get him to support you to go get that time?
Well, it's just a conversation with him. I'll just let him know what I'm doing, and he's normally just like, okay, that's what you got to do. So he's
Cool.
very supportive. But I would say instead of waking up at 6 or 6:30, I'll wake up at 5 or 5:30 to get things laid out for my kids and just get things situated. So that way, when I am gone, things are still moving like
Oh,
clockwork.
nice. Mm-hmm.
And then, because that's around the time they kind of wake up and I'm kind of making them breakfast and getting their homework out. But if I have everything laid out prior, and then once they get up, I'm walking out the door, then that stuff should still be in motion.
That's a beautiful example of unreasonable. Most people would be like, "Man, I wake up at 6:30. I got all these things. It's enough." Unreasonable is like I could wake up at 5 or 5:30 and set my husband up or my team up, my kids, and then I'm out
Yeah.
the door, right? Like then
Right.
I get to go do that thing. So it's not what I love is I didn't hear you say like, "Oh, I'm gonna just make my husband do a bunch of stuff to make it."
Mhm.
I'm gonna be unreasonable so I can do what I need to do to set the team up. So then the team can support me while I'm gone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's how I am with everything. Even if I have something to do, it's my husband's day off. all right, I set everything up as much as I can, and then I go.
All right.
So
So my challenge, or my thing, the place to be check in on yourself is, to be accountable. Is if you're not doing what you said, right? If you're not hitting your 25 calls, if you're not getting out between 9 and noon, and maybe it's not every day, maybe you say how many days a week, you don't have to tell me right now,
mhm,
um, what I would encourage you to do is set it in advance. Like you set your 25 calls. Hey, every week, 3 days a week, I'm going to go out, and network and pound the pavement or door knock or whatever you're going to do, for that time. But if you're not doing it, then you got to create some accountability, because this is where most people are, right. People are like, I'm going to work out. I'm going to eat different. I'm going to write my book at this time. I'm going to pound the pavement from this, and then it doesn't happen. And then they
mhm,
either keep saying they're going to do it and it keeps not happening, or they give up. So as you leave here, I want you just like maybe write down, or remember, hey, if it doesn't happen this week or next week, I need accountability. I need my husband like pushing me out the door. I need to set appointments that I got to go show up to, that I can't cancel. Like I need something that's bigger than me
mhm.
to push me into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it.
Cool. Anything else you want to say or need in this while we're here together?
Um, say to the people or to you or just
Whatever you want.
okay. What I would say to anyone who's listening is um do your best every day and push through. Push through and get it done. And you don't have to change your vision. You probably just have to refine your strategy. So, and keep going.
Mm. Brianna, thank you. Man, thank you so much for letting us see you, like letting us see your emotions, your heart, your feelings. Um, it's so easy to have this conversation and people kind of like keep a wall up. They say stiff, especially because they know it's being recorded and it's not like fully private. It's so much easier for people to just wall up and not be human, like try to be like a robot. But I just want to really acknowledge you for the bravery and the courage and to be vulnerable and to be really you. Um,
Hmm.
because like that's how we get to connect. We don't connect with the robot. We don't connect with the person that doesn't have feelings or emotions. We connect with
Yeah.
that version of you that I know I get, and I don't have kids, but I know other people will get, that are torn between the dreams that they had as an individual person and their commitments and their dreams as a parent. um so thanks for letting us see like all of you and the depth of you. um, and I also want to acknowledge you for your authenticity and your voice. When I suggested that practice, and you were like, "That's not for me," and it was like, and what I love is how you shared it. Sometimes people, as when I'm coaching them, will share that's not for me, and you can hear it's because they're like afraid to try something new. But that
Hmm.
was so like not what it was for you. You were just like, no, that just doesn't resonate for me. This is actually how I already do that. And this is how that thing you're saying resonates for me. I just really want to acknowledge you for trusting yourself and having the voice to say that. Because I think that really speaks to who you are and how well you know yourself. Um,
Hmm.
and not everyone would do it, right? People would keep that inside. So thanks for speaking up.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having just the platform and the great energy for me to do so. Because I stay true to myself no matter where I am. But as I'm growing and becoming this woman, right, getting better every day, I'm learning to be vulnerable because I used to just have this wall up and
Yeah.
just nothing. But I'm learning to just really just be me
Yeah.
and be okay with it in my career and just everything and just being Briana. So that's why I say all the time, I'm just being Briana.
It's awesome. Thanks for
Mhm.
being here. Um, if anybody's interested in like connecting with you or learning more about commercial real estate, or your marriage, or or parenting tips, is there a good place for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, I can be reached on LinkedIn. So
Okay.
Briana Maurice on LinkedIn, or you can email me at Briana@mauriceproperties.com.
Awesome. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Alex. This was great, even though I didn't plan on getting emotional, but and I know later I'm gonna be like, "Why did you do that?" But, in hindsight, I'm like, "Hey, this is me," and I
It's
think people will love it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as I say thank you to the audience for listening, if you see something for yourself and you want to come on this show, reach out to me at alex@thedreammason.com. But I just want to say, like, the emotion that you brought, the feelings you brought was my favorite part of this episode. And it's what's missing from other episodes I've recorded that maybe people have heard or haven't heard, is we don't get to be with a real human. We get to be with like the Instagram version, right? Where it's like it's all logic and reason and like guarded. And that's just not real life. So thanks for like, that was the best moment. So you created that moment by like the best moment for me. And I bet the best moment for the audience is the moment where we got to be with the real you, right? Because that ultimately we all want to be able to do that, right? Don't we all want to be able to like be angry when we're angry, be sad when we're sad, be happy when we're happy, but we're not being able to be angry when we're angry. We're not able to be sad when we're sad. We're not able to even be happy when we're happy. We're all like boxed in and caged up.
Yeah.
So thanks for blessing us with that moment.
Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to Playing with Problems. We will see you next time. Thanks for listening. Honestly, I'm just a rebel who found a cause and has a dream, and I'm super grateful for your support. If you got anything from this, please help me out and share this podcast with one person today. You can find me at thedreammason.com or at inspirationalalex on Instagram. You are a dream mason because your dreams don't build themselves.